Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome, man. Welcome to Beyond Classic Rock. Today, we're going to do a complimentary quad, man. This complimentary quad, it's featuring the music of the Bee Gees. And we're going to start off with Got to Get a Message to You, followed by To Love Somebody, followed by Jive Talkin', and finally, Night Fever. So, man, I just want to first give a shout out and a thanks very much to Harry Rogers. Harry, thank you, man. I appreciate you sending me the links and the recommendations. It's been a long time back and forth of messages and that sort of thing. Harry's in the Navy, and so he's deployed all over the place, and sometimes, the messages don't get to each other or whatnot. So we've been back and forth trying to get this quad out for quite a while. So Harry says to me here, "Hi STB, sorry this has taken so long. Deployments first, as you well know. So here's my quad of my favorite band. These songs show their evolution from ballads to the disco era, all live except one. Thanks for this, STB. Peace, Harry." Right on, Harry. And welcome back, man. Glad you're back safe and sound. And all right, let's hit this up, man. Let's get started with Got to Get a Message. Don't get more legendary where bands are concerned than the Bee Gees, let me tell you. The Bee Gees, Got to Get a Message. Let's get it. Oh yes, live, midnight special. So they're doing the actual singing, no lip sync.
The preacher talked with me and he smiled, said, "Come and walk with me, come and walk 1 more mile. Now for once in your life, you're alone. But you ain't gotta lie, there's no time for the phone. I just gotta get a message to you. Hold on, hold on. 1 more hour and my life will be through. Hold on, hold on." I told him I'm in no hurry, but if I broke her heart, then won't you tell her I'm sorry? And for once in my life, I'm alone, and I gotta let her know just in time before I go. I just gotta get a message to you. Hold on, hold on. 1 more hour and my life will be through. Hold on, hold on.
Nice.
Well, I laughed, but I did
Bee Gees, the Midnight Special. Fantastic, man. Great, fantastic singers, songwriters, musicians, brothers. So they've got that tight, cohesive thing going on. They've probably got a precognitive, prognitive. Geez, you know what I'm trying to say. They've got that element that binds them together. You know what I mean? So of course the harmonies will be better, even in a live setting where atmospherically sometimes it's more challenging to get that cohesion. They got that shit going on. Fantastic, man. Live at the Midnight Special. I used to sneak downstairs and try and catch the Midnight Special whenever I can, but I didn't catch this one. I did catch a Bee Gees Midnight Special before though, and it was, I believe it's on Broadway they were singing. Nights on Broadway. That was really cool. Yeah, man, the Bee Gees. I was just thinking along the way as they were doing their thing. Of course, you know, you can't think of the Bee Gees without their brother Andy as well. And it's funny how the Bee Gees are, you know, they went from Andy passing, the youngest, to Maurice, the next youngest, and then Robin. And the last remaining Bee Gees, the oldest Bee Gee, being Barry. Strange how that works, man. Wow. And all of them passed well before their time. So, let's hit this up. Let's get a little background on this awesome song. But first, let's introduce the men themselves. Get an idea for who they are, what they've accomplished. The Bee Gees. The Bee Gees were a music group formed in '58. Their lineup consisted of brothers Barry, Robin, and Maurice. The trio were especially successful as a popular music act in the late 60s and early 70s, and later as prominent members of the disco music era in the mid to late 70s. The group sang recognizable three-part tight harmonies. Robin's clear vibrato lead vocals were a hallmark of their earlier hits, while Barry's R&B falsetto became their signature sound during the mid to late 1970s and 80s. The Bee Gees wrote all of their own hits, as well as writing and producing several major hits for other artists. The Bee Gees are widely referred to by many critics, media outlets, and fellow artists as the Kings of Disco. Yeah, but before that, they were really very well accomplished with what you were saying, Harry, doing stuff like this, like ballads and that sort of thing, you know, so they're well known. They've got two hits. They've got, you know, of course, their disco era stuff and all of their really excellent ballad stuff of earlier times. Born on the Isle of Man to English parents, the Gibb brothers lived in Chorlton, Manchester, England until the late 50s. There in '55, they formed the skiffle rock and roll group, the Rattlesnakes. The family then moved to Redcliffe in the Moortown Bay region, Queensland, Australia, and then to Crib Island. After achieving their first chart success in Australia as the Bee Gees with Spicks and Specks, their 12th single, they returned to the UK in January of '67. Then producer Robert Stickwood began promoting them to a worldwide audience. The Bee Gees' Saturday Night Fever soundtrack in '78 would be the turning point of their career, with both the film and soundtrack having a cultural impact throughout the world, enhancing the disco scene's mainstream appeal. They won 5 Grammy Awards for Saturday Night Fever, including Album of the Year. Yeah, man, those were just incredible times, you know, even if you lived under a rock. The influence of Saturday Night Fever and this soundtrack would have reached you in some way, for sure. The Bee Gees have sold over 120 million records worldwide, with estimates as high as over 220 million, making them among the best-selling music artists of all time. They were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in '97. The presenter of the award to Britain's first family of harmony was Brian Wilson, historical frontman of the Beach Boys, another family act featuring 3 harmonizing brothers. The Bee Gees Hall of Fame citation says, only Elvis, the Beatles, Michael Jackson, Garth Brooks, and Paul McCartney have outsold the Bee Gees. The Bee Gees are the third most successful band in Billboard charts history after the Beatles and the Supremes. Following Maurice's death in January of 2003 at the age of 53, Barry and Robin retired the group's name after 45 years of activity. In 2009, Robin announced that he and Barry had agreed the Bee Gees would reform and perform again. Robin died in May of 2012 at age 62 after a prolonged struggle with cancer and other health problems, leaving Barry as the only surviving member of the group. Yeah, man, unbelievable. Wow. Yeah, and again, you know what I said earlier, with all of them, kind of passing in succession of age, starting with Andy going all the way up to Robin. I know that Maurice and Robin were twins, but Robin was older than Maurice by I don't know how long, but I know that Robin was the older of the two twins. So now it's just Barry. So shout out to the fourth BG, the unofficial fourth BG, Andy. Andy Gibb was definitely a great influence around, I guess, the 70s time. I don't know if his start was in the 60s, but he definitely came to his own in the 70s. And I remember Andy performing on Solid Gold and also being a guest on Solid Gold. I even remember when he was engaged to Victoria Principal. So yeah, man, shout out to Andy. You were a great influence as well. All right, so let's hit up the song. I've Got to Get a Message to You is a song by the Bee Gees released as a single on the 7th of September in '68. It was their second #1 single on the UK singles chart and their first US top 10 hit. Writing and recording. The song is about a man who, awaiting his execution in the electric chair, begs the prison chaplain to pass a final message on to his wife. Robin Gibb, who wrote the lyrics, said that the man's crime was the murder of his wife's lover, though the lyrics do not explicitly allude to the identity of the victim. Robin said, "This is about a prisoner on death row who only has a few hours to live. He wants the prison chaplain to pass on a final message to his wife. There's a certain urgency about it. Myself and Barry wrote it. It's a bit like writing a script. Sometimes you can sit there for 3 hours with your guitar and nothing will happen. Then in the last 10 minutes, something will spark." The song was written with Percy Sledge in mind to record it. Sledge did not record it in February of 1970, but Atlantic did not issue his version. Sledge did record it, in February of 1970, but Atlantic did not issue his version in the US at the time. Barry recalled, quote, "In those days, the lyrics were almost pretty well done on the spot. I don't remember the fundamentals on how the lyrics were formed, except that we were writing about a guy on death row. That was it." Robin adds, "It was like acting. You see, we said, let's pretend that his life is on the line, somebody's going to the chair. What would be going through their minds? Let's not make it doom and gloom, but sort of an appeal to the person he loves. Because right now, that's all he cares about. Regardless of whether he's done a bad thing, he is a human being, and he's sending his last message out. There's someone out there whom he loves. It's a torch song, but within a very short sort of theatrical sense. Not sort of abstract, but definitely somebody in a very bad situation whose life is going to end. What would they be saying? This is it. Gotta get a message to you. Hold on." All right. So that is Wikipedia Song Fact Info on I've Gotta Get a Message to You. Excellent tunes, man. Yeah, the brothers, it said that they started in '58. Geez, man, how old were they then? But I know that they started when they were really young. I distinctly remember some sort of a biography of the Bee Gees of sorts. And I remember them commenting that one of their biggest regrets is doing some kind of simulation to Beatles music, and so people were kind of billing them as a second runner-up Beatles band, something like that. But then they kind of shook it off and they said, yeah, we've got to be ourselves. But I remember they were really young and they had a couple of black and white kind of outings when they were very young. And so I know that they started when they were maybe 10, 11, 12, something like that. Anyway, man, let's hit up our second track. And that being To Love Somebody. And this would be live as well. The Bee Gees, To Love Somebody, live in the Midnight Special. Let's get it.
To love somebody the way I love you. In my brain, I see your face again. I know my frame of mind. You ain't got to be so blind, and I'm blind, so very blind. I'm a man. Can't you see what I am? I live and I breathe for you. But what good does it do if I ain't got you? Ain't got you. Baby, you don't know what it's like. Baby, you don't know what it's like to love somebody, to love somebody the way I love you. You don't know what it's like. Baby, you don't know what it's like to love somebody, to love somebody the way I love you. You don't know what it's like. Baby, you don't know what it's like to love somebody, to love somebody the way I love you. To love somebody, to love somebody the way I love you.
That's the one thing that Midnight Special had over Soul Train, man. You know, they were actually singing, you know. Fantastic. Yo, I was always saying to myself, in regards to the Bee Gees and how similar their voices are to each other, you know, when you hear Andy sing, you think of mainly Barry. I guess their voices are closer, but they have a unified kind of voice. But then I realized, hey, I don't think that I've ever heard Maurice sing. Maurice is usually playing the bass or the piano, and he's harmonizing with it, but it's hard to really pick out and distinct his particular singing voice. And then I remember my mom was watching a special, and I believe that it was his wife at the time, Lulu, and she introduced him, and he came on and he sang a duet with her. And it was the very, very first time, I think first and last time, I actually heard Maurice's voice. And again, very, very distinct, very sweet, lovely voice, sounding very much like a Gibb singing. You know what I mean? So if you're doing a duet or whatever it is, you can say, yeah, that is one of the Gibb brothers singing. So Maurice has a great voice as well, but you don't really distinctly pick it up. It's somewhat, sometimes a little bit masked within, because it sounds so similar to the other brothers. But I think that his harmonizing voice is just slightly softer than Barry's and Robin's, so you don't pick it up as well. What else was I going to say about the brothers? Yeah, what I did hear about them was because Robin and Barry were more on the creative element of things, and they were doing a lot more of the singing and whatnot. They had some butting of heads, and it's usually between those two older brothers, and Maurice was just kind of like chill in the background. And then I heard that they had split for a while. And correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just theorizing here, trying to piece together what I remember. They got back together, and then afterwards, it was just more notably Barry's voice, just more him singing lead rather than Robin. So this is my theory. Let me know if I'm right, if you know your Bee Gees history. While they were separate, they tried to do things on their own. Maybe they did do things on their own. I think that's at the time where Barry was doing duets with Barbra Streisand, that sort of thing. Did Robin realize that he needed his brother's input in order to create hit songs? Did he come to that realization? And then did he approach his brother and say, okay, let's reconcile, and under the condition that, yes, I will allow you to be more the lead voice type of thing? Because Robin's voice is just as nice as Barry's. Yeah, some would argue that his is the better of all of the voices of the Gibbs brothers, right? So he is just as great a singer as Barry. So, but I think maybe, this is just my theory without knowing a lot of detail, that he probably had to give a little bit more platform to his older brother, because his older brother was more of the creative element of the group, the songwriter of the group, and he knew that he needed his older brother in order to create hit records. Am I right? Let me know about that. What happened when the Gibbs reformed after their split? Because I'm seeing that it's only Barry singing lead from that point on, So did he just assume the alpha male role of the group going forward? Let me know about that. All right, man. To Love Somebody. Fantastic ballad. Now, I don't even have to go into explaining the difference between a ballad and a sappy-ass love song. You can clearly see that this is a ballad. I've got time for a fantastic ballad like this. I don't have time for a sappy-ass love song. I got time for a great ballad like this. This is a great ballad, man. And yeah, so Harry, yeah, you were saying that it's a good transition time-wise to go from ballads, and then of course they got into the 70s, and then they changed their sound to match that of the disco movement and that sort of thing. So this is, yeah, so far a really nice little transition. And seeing them on the Midnight Special, where there's a variety of different acts and all of that sort of thing, and this was at the peak of that disco era. Yeah, they were even earlier with their ballads. They were still appearing on the Midnight Special. Very interesting. All right, To Love Somebody is a song written by Barry and Robin Gibb, produced by Robert Stickwood. It was the second single released by the Bee Gees from their international debut album, Bee Gees First, in '67. The single reached number 17 in the US and number 41 in the UK. The song's B-side was Close Another Door. The single was reissued in 1980 on RSO Records with How Can You Mend a Broken Heart as its flip side. Yeah, man, great song. How Can You Mend a Broken Heart? The song ranked at number 94 on the NME magazine 100 Best Tracks of the 60s. It was a minor hit in the UK and France. It reached the top 20 in the US. It reached the top 10 in Canada. Speaking of all the great songs they've written, I think one of my personal favorites is Emotions, you know. In a 2017 interview with Piers Morgan's Life Stories, Barry was asked, of all the songs that you've ever written, which song would you choose? Barry said that To Love Somebody was the song that he chose, as it has a clear emotional message. The song has been recorded by many other artists, including Nina Simone, Janis Joplin, Roberta Flack, Jimmy Somerville, Michael Bolton, Billy Corgan, Rod Stewart, Graham Parsons, Michael Bublé, and Hank Williams Jr. At the request of Robert Stickwood, the band's manager, Barry and Robin wrote To Love Somebody, a soulful ballad in the style of Sam and Dave or the Rascals for Otis Redding. Redding came to see Barry at the Plaza in New York City one night. Robin claimed that Otis Redding said he loved our material and would Barry write him a song. The Bee Gees recorded To Love Somebody at IBC Studios, London in March of '67, and released it as a single in mid-July of '67 in the US. Redding died in an airplane crash later that year, before having a chance to record the song. The song was recorded around April of '67 with Gilbert Green and End of My Song at the IBC Studios in London, England. Robin said, quote, everyone told us what a great record they thought it was. Other groups all raved about it, but for some reason, people in Britain just did not seem to like it. Barry said, I think the reason it didn't do well there was because it's a soul number. Americans loved it, but it just wasn't right for this country, unquote. Interesting. Yeah, back then, across the Atlantic, people were thinking different things about the song. And America embraced it more as a soul number rather than just a straight ballad. It was more embraced on the soul side. Interesting. Barry Gibb explained in a June 2001 interview with Mojo magazine, it was for Robert Stickwood. He asked me to write a song for him. It was written in New York and played for Otis, but personally it was for Robert. He meant a great deal to me. It was a tremendous admiration for this man's abilities and gifts. Right on. Okay, man, so that concludes our look at To Love Somebody. So let's check out our third track, man. And that being Jive Talkin'. The Bee Gees, Jive Talkin'. This is their official video. Let's get it. one of their huge hits, big crossing over, so to speak. I remember back in the day, very, very wholly embraced by the whole disco element, disco movement. I remember this particular song being featured on Soul Train. I remember a lot of that, and it was definitely one of those on the playlist in a number of my parties my parents threw. Wow, yeah, good memories, man. Great song, Jive Talking. Let's see here. Sorry, my link is lazy. Jive Talkin'. Jive Talkin' is a song by the Bee Gees released as a single in May of '75 by RSO Records. This was the lead single from the album Main Course, as well as a song on the 1977 Saturday Night Fever soundtrack, and hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. It also reached the top 5 on the UK singles chart in the middle of '75. Largely recognized as the group's comeback song, it was their first US top 10 hit since How Can You Mend a Broken Heart in '71. Okay, yeah, that's what I was talking about. So they had a split. Now, I don't know how long the split was, but their last hit was How Can You Mend a Broken Heart, and that was more a ballad. And so they split, they came back together again. Barry was more the point man lead singer. Their sound had changed, and now it was more, they were in the middle of the '70s now, hitting up their disco sound, Yeah, I'm really curious about that period of time during their split and how they came back together, and I guess the structure going forward. So if you know your Bee Gees history, give me a briefing about that and what happened between the brothers, namely between Barry and Robin. How did they mend fences? What were the terms and the conditions? I'm speculating once again that Barry said, if we're going to do this, I am the point guard. I am the lead man. I am the alpha wolf. That's kind of like what I feel that maybe the conversation was about. But let me know if I'm right. I'm just speculating. Origins and recording of the song. The song was originally called Jive Talking in its early stage. The song's rhythm was modeled after the sound their car made crossing the Julia Tuttle Causeway each day from Biscayne Bay to Criteria Studios in Miami. Recording for Jive Talkin' took place on the 30th of January and the 2nd of February in '75. The scratchy guitar intro was done by Barry and the funky bass line by Maurice. According to Maurice, while driving this rhythmic sound, Barry didn't notice that he's going jive, jive, jive talking, thinking of the dance. You dance with your eyes. That's all he had, exactly 35 miles per hour. That's what we got. He goes on to say, we played it to producer Arif Martin, and he went, do you know what jive talking means? And we said, well, yeah, it's, you're dancing. He says, no, it's a black expression for bullshitting. And we went, oh, really? Jive talking, you're telling me lies, and changed it. Okay. Maurice goes on to describe how Arif gave him the groove, the tempo, everything. Robin Gibb then goes on to mention that because they were English, they were less self-conscious about going into the no-go areas, referring to musical styles that were more black in styles, etc. He then said, quote, we didn't think that there were any no-go areas. It's music, unquote. Well said, Robin. Jive Talkin' is a stuttering song like The Who's My Generation, David Bowie's Changes, Elton John's Benny and the Jets, and Bob Seger's Kathmandu. After hearing Jive Talkin', Lindsey Buckingham of Fleetwood Mac and co-producer Richard Dashut built up the song Second Hand News, released on the band's Rumors in '77, with 4 audio tracks of electric guitar and the use of chair percussion to evoke Celtic rock. Okay, so that concludes Wikipedia's look at Jive Talkin'. Great memories attached to that song, man. Alright, let's hit up our last track. Some more great memories coming in Night Fever. Bee Gees, Night Fever. And this is the official video as well. Let's get it. The man, the myth, the legend. Who has not seen this movie? All right. Night Fever. Easily one of my favorite Bee Gees songs, man. Especially from their times in the 70s. Here's a question. I know I'm going to catch some fire for even asking this question. Do you think that the movie would have stood or done as well as it had without the great music, without the soundtrack? You know, I mean, you know, some people will be like, well, duh, that's an obvious, you know, but how well, here's the more appropriate question, how well would that movie have done on its own merits without the soundtrack? Answer that for me, and keep it classy, keep it nice. I'm just asking questions, right? You know, there are some questions I know that I shouldn't ask, and I have a feeling this is one of them. But yo, man, let me know, in any case, how well do you think the movie would have done without the great soundtrack attached to it? Would it have, I don't know, hit the top 10? Would it have been in contention for Oscars and awards and things? How well do you think it would have done without the presence of the great soundtrack in it. If it didn't have even that real dance theme element in it, binding everybody together, maybe it had a different theme. They all worked at a car wash or an insurance company or something like that. I don't know, man. But let me know what you think about that question. It's a little bit of a silly question, but indulge me anyway, man. Night Fever. Night Fever is a song written and performed by the Bee Gees. It first appeared on the soundtrack to the Saturday Night Fever on RSO Records. Producer Robert Stickwood wanted to call the film Saturday Night, but singer Robin Gibb expressed hesitation at the title. Stickwood liked the title Night Fever, but was wary of marketing a movie with that name. The song bounded up the Billboard charts, while the Bee Gees' two previous hits from Saturday Night Fever soundtrack, How Deep Is Your Love and Stayin' Alive, were still in the top 10. The record debuted on the Billboard Hot 100 chart at number 76, then leaped up 44 positions to number 32. It then moved from 32, 17 to 8 to 5 to 2 and then to number 1. It remained at number 1 for 8 weeks, the most for any single that year, and ultimately spent 13 weeks in the top 10. For the first 5 weeks that Night Fever was at number 1, Stayin' Alive was at number 2. Also, for 1 week in March, Bee Gees related songs held 5 of the top positions on the Hot 100 chart, and more impressively, 4 of the top 5 positions, with Night Fever at the top of the list. There was the B-side of Night Fever was a live version of Down the Road, taken from the Bee Gees' 1977 album Here at Last, Bee Gees Live. Inspiration and writing. When Bee Gees manager Robert Stickwood was producing a movie about a New York disco scene, the working title for the film at that time was Saturday Night. Stickwood asked the group to write a song using that name as a title, but the Bee Gees disliked it. They had already written a song called Night Fever, so the group convinced Stickwood to use that and changed the film to Saturday Night Fever. The string intro of Night Fever was inspired by the theme from A Summer Place by Percy Faith, according to keyboardist Blue Weaver, when he was performing it one morning at the sessions, and Barry Gibb walked in and heard the new idea for the song. As Weaver explains the history behind this song, quote, Night Fever started off because Barry walked in one morning when I was trying to work out something. I always wanted to do a disco version of Theme from a Summer Place by the Percy Faith Orchestra or something. It was a big hit in the 60s. I was playing that and Barry said, "What was that?" And I said, "Theme from a Summer Place." And Barry said, "No, it wasn't. It was new." Barry heard the idea. I was playing it on a string synthesizer and sang the riff over it. That's Blue Weaver. So that's how Night Fever was born. Barry Gibb, Robin, and Maurice completed the lyrics for Night Fever sitting on a staircase, reminiscent of their first international hit, New York Mining Disaster in 1941, which was written also in a staircase back in '67. Legacy. The song replaced Andy Gibb's Love is Thicker Than Water at number 1, and was in turn replaced by Yvonne Elliman's If I Can't Have You, all of which were written and produced by the Gibb brothers. Yeah, man, I forgot about that song. Yeah, these dudes wrote some great music. So I mentioned Emotions being one of my favorite songs, so they wrote that. And forgive me, I can't remember the lady who sang it. I know they sang backup for her on that, so you hear their voices and you hear her voice. Really excellent Emotions. And then If I Can't Have You, Yvonne Elliman. I remember Yvonne Elliman from Jesus Christ Superstar, the movie. She was Mary Magdalene. And so they went on to write other songs. I know Barry did a duet with Barbra Streisand, Guilty. There's more, but I can't think of any at this moment. But yeah, man, they wrote some really good music. Words, that's what I was thinking of. Words by Rita Coolidge. They wrote that as well. Okay. I lost my damn way going off. Okay, If I Can't Have You, Yvonne Elliman, all of which were written and produced by the Gibb brothers. It would be the third of 6 consecutive US number ones for the band, tying the Beatles for the record for most consecutive #1 singles. Billboard ranked the song as the #2 song for '78, behind Andy Gibbs' Shadow Dancing. Wow. So Night Fever topped the UK singles chart for 2 weeks, their third UK #1, and in the US it remained the #1 Billboard Hot 100 single for over 2 months in '78. I think that's momentum from the movie too, wouldn't you say? In addition to Saturday Night Fever, the song has also appeared in the movie and on the soundtrack for Mystery Men. The song is listed at number 38 on Billboard's all-time top 100. It's also featured in other films including Luna, Mr. Saturday Night, ID, Whatever Happened to Harold Smith, and Avenue Montaigne. Okay, man. And so that concludes Wikipedia Song Fact Info on this excellent song and this great quad, man. Fantastic quad. Harry, thanks very much. So these are your personal favorite Bee Gees songs. Must have been a hard grind for you to try and put it into a quad, but thank you very much for doing it. Which begs the question, what is your favorite Bee Gees song? If you can't give me your favorite Bee Gees song, give me your top 5. What would be your top 5 favorite Bee Gees song? Even that in itself is hard, I know. Yeah, you've probably got to break it down to a top 20 or something like that. But what's your top 5 favorite Bee Gees song? Or if you just want to stick to your top favorite Bee Gees song, let me know what it is and why it is. Let me know that. That'd be cool. At present, I can't think of my favorite Bee Gees song. I don't know if I have one. I would say Night Fever is definitely in the top 5. I Love to Love Somebody. I mentioned Emotions was a really good Bee Gees song, but they had so many, man. It's unbelievable. Great talent, man, these brothers. And yeah, again, I find it how intriguing it is that they're passing away in succession of age, from youngest to oldest, and now it's just Barry that's the last remaining brother. I know that there is a special out there. It's called The Last Bee Gee. If you want to check that out, it's called The Last Bee Gee. I think I saw maybe a little part of it. He was being interviewed by a lady, and of course, you know, he broke down, and she's like, "Are you all right?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm fine. I can continue." But that was just a little part of that interview session that I saw. But it's called The Last Bee Gee, so check it out if you want to see it. I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube. That's probably where I might have seen it. Anyways, man, hey, this concludes my quad. Finally getting to the Bee Gees. It's been a long time coming, so thank you for your patience for anyone who put a pin in that and was waiting for this quad. And Harry, thank you again, man, and blessings to you and your crew, and I'm glad that you guys are back safe. So, coming up, I've got quads in the chute for Pete, John, Jeffrey, Rhymes with Teeth, Marco. I got a couple of new patrons. They get their reactions quickly. So within a week to 10 days, I usually like to do their reactions so that they don't have to wait, for 3 to 5 weeks as a regular succession. So I've got a couple of new patrons to fit in there as well. Anyways, man, hey, this was an excellent quad. Thank you again, Harry, and I definitely would love to explore doing a little bit more Bee Gees on this platform. It's the right platform for it. So yeah, man, I would definitely do some more Bee Gees. Anyways, so you guys have yourselves a good one. Have a safe weekend. Take care. If you can, check out my classic rock platform. I'm going to be trying my best to post my recent Led Zeppelin upload on there. Hopefully it sticks. Well, actually, fingers crossed that this is actually going to stick on YouTube. If not, then it's definitely going to be available either on my Patreon platforms or collectively on my Vimeo account. Vimeo account, basically both genres, all different types goes into the one account. There is not like two Vimeo accounts for the two different genres. Someone asked me that question, so I'm just replying back. So it's just the one Vimeo address. Soul Train Bro on Vimeo. Okay, so you'll find everything on there from the classic platform to the now new Beyond Classic platform. Why is that? Because it's simpler and it's cheaper. You know, just to have a Vimeo account, it's over $300 a year. Can you believe that shit? So yeah, man, that's why I infused it all into one. Anyways, thank you very much for joining me. Take care, and I'll catch you in another reaction. Peace.